Heat fans, I need your help. We're halfway through the month of July, and we are struggling in our sub-battle against the New York Knicks. Knicks now has got a pretty substantial lead on us, but let's cut into that because, well, not only should you subscribe for that, but we put out daily content here, so hit that sub button. Loaded show here at Miami Heat Report. I am Nic Rohloff. We have an update on the Miami Heat's failed pursuit in DeMar DeRozan that includes a Duncan Robinson trade. That is a very fascinating storyline. And on the back half of today's show, the Heat still want Tyus Jones, who is the best NBA free agent still available. There's a lot to unpack here. And the reason why we're talking about all of this is Bobby Marks of ESPN. He went on the NBA Live show. I actually forget what it's called. But either way, Bobby Marks reported that the Heat tried as heck to get DeMar DeRozan. Nobody wanted Duncan Robinson. They had one first-round pick to trade. They wanted Tyus Jones. They couldn't make a deal here. There's a lot to unpack in that quote. There's like 4 sentences, yet he named failed Duncan Robinson trade, couldn't get DeMar DeRozan, wanted Tyus Jones. Like, there's just a lot that we have to talk about. And I think the first part that I want to talk here is Duncan Robinson. Because are they trying to trade Duncan? And I find it fascinating that if Bobby Marks' report is to be taken as true, that in the Heat's pursuit of freeing up cap space to get DeMar DeRozan, they elected to try to trade Duncan Robinson's $19 million contract rather than trading one of their guards, Terry Rozier or Tyler Herro's $24 and $29 million contract, respectively. Now, I do have to say this. 5 Reasons Sports Network and Ethan J. Skolnick, who is very tapped in with the Miami Heat and likely has better sources surrounding the Heat's front office than Bobby Marks, said that this is not true. And they have been very steady in their reporting that the Heat did never offer anything to DeMar DeRozan outside of the $5.2 million taxpayer mid-level, which is disrespectful in its own right. And the fact that they just thought they could get him for that, and then there would be no other team to find the cap flexibility to make it happen, like the Kings did for $20+ million a year, is a little bit malpractice from Pat Riley. But they've been very consistent in their reporting that the Heat never tried to trade anyone to free up cap space for DeRozan, and were only pursuing him if he was willing to take a massive discount at that $5.2 million. But the conversation on today's show isn't about DeMar DeRozan anymore, but it's more about Duncan Robinson and if he could be traded the rest of this offseason and if he's got any value to be dealt in the NBA, as he does have 2 years left on his contract. Duncan's had a roller coaster past 5 seasons, really, ever since he came onto the scene in 2019-20 when he started out of nowhere, was unbelievable, was in the three-point contest, set records almost in terms of three-point shooting for Miami, and was unconscious and deemed one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. Then has a okay 2021 season, shot 40% from 3 once again, averaged 13 points a game, and then received that 5-year, $90 million contract in between 2020-21 and 21-22. And ever since he received that contract, it's been up and down. He played in 79 games in 21-22, but shot very poorly. On 8 attempts a game, he shot 37% from 3. And sure, that's good in a league average standpoint, but if your only job is to shoot threes, that needs to be 40% or better every single year. And then his numbers and role just got absolutely slashed in 22-23 when Max Strus really took control. And that's when Duncan really kind of got pushed out of this team. Numbers were down, didn't play a lot, and really struggled whenever he was on the court. But then Max Strus signs with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Heat need a three-point shooter. In comes Duncan Robinson and really transcended his game and was a way better overall player because even though he was still that three-point specialist and shot 39.5% from 3 on 7 attempts a game, he was a much more improved overall player in terms of using his three-point shot to leverage drives into the mid-range or get to the rim. And he actually became a much better passer, and the two-man game between him and Bam Adebayo only improved even more. But the numbers don't tell the full story on Duncan Robinson and his trade value because we have to talk about his contract. He's getting paid $19.4 million. It is fully guaranteed for this 24-25 season. It's interesting in 25-26, though, the last year of his contract, where he has a cap hit of $19.8 million. But there is an early termination option for the Miami Heat because he is only guaranteed $9.8 million for that next season. So technically, if the Heat wanted to, and Duncan either struggled or they just need to cut salary next offseason, they could cut or waive Duncan Robinson. They'll still be on the hook for $9.8 million, but they'll be able to save a full $10 million in their cap space in the following offseason. It's something that I'm sure Pat Riley is going to have to explore in case he doesn't want to keep him or before he just wants to get off of that money before 26-27 when he's an unrestricted free agent. But the last thing we have to talk about in terms of Duncan Robinson and his trade value is that injury. Is that back cooked? He was doing really well. We just talked about how he was playing extremely good. But then with about 25 games left in the regular season, he got hurt with a back injury and missed a significant amount of time. Came back about a week, 2 weeks to go in the regular season, was horrific in 2 or 3 games played, and then missed the next week because that back injury came back. And he said that he probably should not have played due to that back injury. But then he comes back, technically is healthy, but really doesn't play in the first-round playoff series against the Boston Celtics. There is a possibility that back could be a serious issue for Duncan Robinson. And if it is serious enough to where teams, and if we're taking Bobby Marks' report at face value, don't want Duncan Robinson because of that injury, that could be really concerning for the Heat if they are paying him this money, but he can't be effective this year due to injury, and they can't move off of him because of that injury. And it's not an expiring deal, so they can't even trade him off to a team to absorb that contract. It's a very sketchy situation in Miami. Which brings me to this question around Duncan Robinson. Is Duncan a negative trade asset? Type P for positive, type N for negative. Want to know what you have to think. Before we get into Tyus Jones, which is the next thing here, Heat wanted Tyus Jones? Maybe. I did want to quickly wrap up the conversation on Duncan. I don't think he's a negative trade asset. I know the contract isn't great. I know the injury isn't great. But Duncan is still one of the best three-point shooters in the game. We've seen other players like Buddy Hield, Davis Bertans get moved off their contract just because of being specialists. I will say this. I don't think three-point specialists like Duncan Robinson are getting paid $18, $17 million anymore. Well, let's get into the Tyus Jones conversation. Because Bobby Marks said that the Heat missed out on Tyus. But I'm a little confused on that report from Bobby Marks because Tyus Jones is still a free agent. So how could they have missed out on that situation and that window? The Heat would have always had to do a sign and trade for Tyus Jones. They still can if they wanted to. I don't understand why Bobby Marks says, that's a closed door and Miami couldn't go out and do a sign and trade for Tyus right now. And you might be wondering why the Heat would want to do this for Tyus Jones. Well, he's actually one of the better true point guards in the NBA. He's been bounced around in his career, started with the Minnesota Timberwolves, actually in the same draft class as Karl-Anthony Towns, fun fact. And he's been a career backup point guard, but he's really come on as of late, and ever since he got moved off of the Memphis Grizzlies in that trade for Marcus Smart, he performed extremely well when he was finally given the opportunity to be a full-time starting point guard for Washington. I know that team wasn't good, but he was able to average 12 points a game, have 7 assists a game, and shoot extremely efficient from the field as well as from the three-point land. And you might remember, if you were subscribed to the channel and watched our content during last season, I named Tyus Jones as one of my top trade targets for the Miami Heat when Kyle Lowry was still on the team. It wasn't after the Rozier trade, obviously, but when Lowry was still on the squad and we wanted to trade his contract to upgrade that point guard position, Tyus Jones was actually my number one guy that I wanted, even though he was entering free agency. I just thought he was the perfect pass-first point guard that can really elevate Bam in the pick and roll and help get others more involved, even unlock a little bit more Tyler Hero off-ball usage. I think that still can be the case, and I still want to talk about that. But first, make sure you get these Miami Heat hats. We've shown them on the channel this past week, and if you haven't got yours yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's an adjustable hat, so it fits all sizes. Got that nice little two-tone color between the cream and red. Heat logo with the MH on the side. Get yours today, chatsports.com/Heat hat. It's on sale. One more time, chatsports.com/Heat hat. Link will be in the description and comments of today's video. The Heat still could get Tyus Jones if they wanted. And I mentioned this, and it would have to be a sign-and trade due to the Heat's cap space situation. And you might say to yourself, well, the Heat are right up against the second apron, so how could they do a sign-and trade for Tyus Jones? Because if you do a sign-and trade, you get hard capped at the first apron. Well, it's pretty simple. you'd have to trade Tyler Hero in that sign and trade. So this is what I cooked up and I could see being the case. It is also mandatory, by the way, if you do a sign and trade, that the player you are signing gets a 3-year contract. It doesn't have to be fully guaranteed. It just has to be 3 seasons. So in this sign and trade for Miami, they are signing Tyus Jones to a 3-year, $49.7 million contract. I kind of had an ascending deal, so it's 15.5 in the first year, 16.5 in the second year, 17.5 in the third year. I am doing a fully guaranteed deal because I think Tyus Jones deserves that, and I think it would be a very good contract for Miami to have a point guard that can do what he can on that type of money. And you're shipping out Tyler Hero to Washington to do that, and he's obviously getting paid $29 million. You're $9 million above the first apron, so $15 million cap hit for Tyus, $30 for Tyler. Oh, look at that. You shed $15 million and you're underneath the first apron to make this sign and trade work. So why would the Heat do this, though? You move off of Hero's contract, which still has 3 years left at 29, 30, and 31. You get a true point guard to help elevate Bam in the pick and roll, as well as take Kel'el Ware, who is going to need a true point guard to get him involved on pick and roll situations and lob opportunities. You get underneath the first apron, which saves Mickey Harrison money, as well as gives you more flexibility during the season. And you would probably move Terry Rozier to the sixth-man role in this move, because you can't play Terry and Tyus together. A little undersized. I think Terry's a true 2 rather than a 1. Terry can play the 1, but I think he's better suited as a scoring off-ball guy and then gets the ball in isolation settings and not a guy that tries to get other people involved. But you move Terry to the bench as the sixth man. You move someone into the starting group, whether it be a Jaime Jaquez Jr. and you go big, or a Haywood Highsmith for defense and shooting. You can do a lot of different things. But you get a sixth man that can give you 18, 20 off the bench. You get a true point guard in Tyus Jones, and you get it underneath the first apron. I think it is a very, very valid option for Miami to kind of shift around their roster to see if you can unlock this team's ceiling by not wasting all of your assets. Because Tyus Jones is an elite playmaker. Like, he has the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the NBA. 7-1. It's ridiculous. He does not turn over the basketball. And we know Miami has struggled with turnovers in the past and has struggled in transition and fast break opportunities. You know who runs the fast break really well and can make good decisions and not turn the ball over? Yeah, that'd be Tyus Jones. The Heat have always needed a true point guard. They went after it with Kyle Lowry. It worked when Lowry wasn't a bad player. Lowry was good for the first 2 seasons. It was just that he was so bad in the first half of last season where they had to move off of him, and they did that. Intriguing. So let me know, would you do this? Signing Tyus Jones to a 3-year, $49.7 million deal, trading in a sign and trade Tyler Hero to Washington to acquire the Tyus Jones. Type A for accept or type D for decline. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's usually when on this show I ask you guys a question and I already have my answer premeditated. I don't really have an answer for you guys. I'm split 50-50. Like, I really like Tyus Jones. I think he'd be a great addition to this team. And to help Bam, help Kel'el Ware, even help Nikola Jovic and help Jaime Jaquez Jr. improve as well. But the question is he a player that you're okay moving Tyler Hero off for? I know Heat fans want to trade Tyler Hero regardless this offseason, even if it's for a bag of peanuts. But let's just face the facts. Hero's still 25 and under, and he's averaged 20 points per game 3 seasons in a row. Like, you have to realize that he's got some value. Sure, if you trade him away for a first-round pick and that's all you get, I'd be cool with that because you free up a ton of cap space. But is he worth trading Tyus Jones straight up for? I don't know. I don't even know if Washington would want Tyler Hero. They already have Jordan Poole. Who knows if they'd even do that in a sign and trade. But from Miami's perspective, is Tyus Jones worth moving Tyler Hero off of? I still don't know. And I'm sorry, I'm going to cop out. I'm not giving you guys an answer on this show. Make sure you are subscribed, though, because if any more Heat news or rumors pop up, we're going to discuss it. We have daily content here, and we're also going to be live tomorrow afternoon for the Heat's first official Summer League game against the Boston Celtics. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is playing, Kel'el Ware is playing, Khalil Larson's playing. It's going to be tons of fun. So subscribe and join us because we have daily content here at the Heat Report.